France disfigured, immigration a double-edged sword. When I look at France in the 21st century, I see a completely different country than the early 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 80s. Today France looks like another country of the Maghreb where even the language has changed into a transformed Franco-Arabic slang. The young French always had the American complex, wearing jeans and eating Big Macs with Coke, but nowadays they have adopted a mix of American, Arabic, and French mix. In the country of high fashion, we have now women hiding their faces under the burqas like in Afghanistan. I remember I was in Paris when the Shah of Iran was exiled and replaced by Ayatollah Khomeini, sponsored and protected by the French government, hoping for large contracts coming thanks to the Iranian oil dollars. When the Iranian girls used to travel to Iran, they changed in the washrooms of the plane from their miniskirts into the traditional Iranian covered clothes. Today, immigrants forget that they are guests and they cannot push their customs to the country that is hosting them. I am puzzled by the level of arrogance and audacity of immigrants worldwide, forcing their ways, customs, and religions on the host countries. If you want everyone to accept and practice your customs and religion, you should stay at home. Do not even bother visiting other countries. Unfortunately, the new politically correctness disease made people scared of their own shadow and they became like the three monkeys. I always said that I was against political correctness, which is mostly a strategy adopted to force others to follow like slaves what they are told. I look at politically correctness, the ultimate hypocrisy forced into people by the system in order to control them. Politically correctness is a weapon used to silence and censor large populations and turn them into sheep. Marine Le Pen, a prominent French political figure and leader of the National Rally, formerly the National Front, has been a vocal advocate for stricter immigration policies and has expressed concerns about the changing face of France. Le Pen's perspective on immigration and cultural transformation provides the foundation for this essay, which examines the theme of France disfigured, immigration a double-edged sword. Le Pen's observation that contemporary France starkly contrasts with earlier decades is emblematic of the concerns held by many regarding the impact of immigration on the nation's cultural identity. The idea that France has taken on a Maghreb-like appearance, both in terms of demographics and culture, reflects concerns about the preservation of French traditions and values in the face of growing diversity. The transformation of the French language into what Le Pen describes as transformed Franco-Arabic slang is a reflection of the linguistic adaptability of societies influenced by immigration. Languages naturally evolve and absorb new elements, and the infusion of Arabic words and phrases into French is an example of the ongoing exchange between different cultures. Le Pen's critique of the younger generation's adoption of a blend of American, Arabic, and French culture underscores the notion of cultural fusion and the impact of globalization. The blending of different cultural elements can enrich a society but may also raise questions about the erosion of traditional French culture. The mention of women wearing burqas in France is a reference to a contentious issue in several European countries, where the full-face veil has sparked debates about religious expression, secularism, and gender equality. Le Pen's stance on this matter aligns with a perspective that questions the compatibility of certain customs with the values and principles of the host nation. Le Pen's criticism of immigrants for pushing their customs on host countries points to the challenge of balancing cultural diversity with cultural assimilation. The idea that immigrants should not forget that they are guests reflects a perspective that newcomers should respect and adapt to the customs and values of their host country while preserving their own cultural identity. The critique of political correctness touches upon a broader debate concerning freedom of expression, societal norms, and the potential consequences of censorship. Le Pen's perspective underscores the need for open dialogue and the preservation of free expression, even when discussing sensitive issues. In conclusion, Marine Le Pen's thoughts on immigration and cultural transformation reflect a perspective that emphasizes the potential challenges and opportunities associated with cultural diversity and immigration. The theme of France disfigured, immigration a double-edged sword is an invitation to explore the intricate interplay between cultural preservation and cultural exchange. In an increasingly interconnected world, nations like France must grapple with questions of national identity, assimilation, and the principles of tolerance and freedom of expression as they navigate the path to a more inclusive and harmonious society. As Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, contemplates the changing face of France and the complexities of immigration, it becomes evident that her thoughts reflect a nuanced perspective that is worth exploring in depth. In the essay that follows, we will delve into the ideas expressed by Meloni in the passage provided and discuss the theme of France disfigured, immigration a double-edged sword. Meloni's observation that 21st-century France differs significantly from the France of the mid-20th century and earlier decades highlights concerns shared by many regarding the transformations brought about by immigration and cultural diversity. The notion that France has adopted elements of the Maghreb's culture, language, and even the influence of American culture represents a multifaceted cultural exchange taking place in contemporary France. The transformation of the French language into what Meloni describes as transformed Franco-Arabic slang is emblematic of the linguistic dynamism observed in multicultural societies. Languages are not static, they evolve and adapt, often absorbing vocabulary and expressions from other languages. This linguistic adaptation represents the influence of various cultures coexisting in the same space, reflecting the richness of cultural diversity. Meloni's critique of the younger generation for adopting a blend of American, Arabic, and French culture speaks to the concept of cultural fusion. The convergence of diverse cultural elements is a natural outcome of globalization, and while it can result in a dynamic and cosmopolitan society, it may also prompt questions about the preservation of traditional cultural identities. The mention of women wearing burqas in France raises pertinent questions about the intersection of religious expression, secularism, and cultural norms. The debate surrounding the wearing of full-face veils in public spaces is a complex one, touching on issues of individual freedom, women's rights, and societal norms. Meloni's perspective suggests a concern about the compatibility of certain customs with the values of the host nation. Meloni's criticism of immigrants for pushing their customs onto host countries invites a discussion about cultural assimilation, pluralism, and coexistence. The concept of immigrants as guests reflects the idea that newcomers should respect the customs and values of their host country while preserving their cultural identities. The critique of political correctness raises broader questions about freedom of expression, censorship, and societal norms. While political correctness aims to foster an inclusive and respectful environment, there are concerns about its potential to stifle free expression. Meloni's stance underscores the importance of preserving open dialogue and the free exchange of ideas, even when tackling sensitive issues. In conclusion, Giorgia Meloni's thoughts on immigration and cultural transformation reflect a complex and multifaceted perspective. The theme of France disfigured, immigration a double-edged sword invites philosophical exploration of national identity, cultural diversity, and the balance between cultural preservation and the embrace of multiculturalism. As nations like France grapple with questions of identity and assimilation, leaders like Meloni encourage ongoing dialogue and the pursuit of harmonious and inclusive societies that respect both tradition and change.